Hey guys, happy holidays. So today we are coloring a Christmas candle. It can be in any kind of candle, really. I'm going with Christmas colors, but you can do whatever you want. And we're going to be using alcohol markers for this today, primarily Prismacolors, but there are a few other alcohol markers in this. If you check the description, you'll find a link to where you can purchase the line art on Gumroad. If you're if you're one of my, don't know why I couldn't say that today. If you're one of my wonderful art nerds on Patreon, you get this line art for free. I think I sent it out today. So check over on Patreon if you want to color along with us. I'm also dual recording this, so there's going to be a time-lapse version of this tutorial available for people who maybe missed the live stream or are short on time. I am hoping that we can get this one done pretty quick today, since it's alcohol markers, and alcohol markers dry pretty quick. So I already went ahead and I swatched the colors that I want to use for today's tutorial. Like I said, it's primarily Prismacolors, but you guys can use whatever you have handy. And hi Kelly, hi Tally, how are y'all? I hope y'all are doing well. So I'm going to just kind of readjust everything, try to get as many things as possible on stream, and go ahead and get started. So in addition to alcohol markers, which I have organized in a tray here, I'm going to also use some, it's kind of like post-it notes, but it's like a post-it note tape. And I'm going to use this to kind of block off my illustration. And that's going to give me nice, clean edges. And what's nice about this is it's a little bit lower tack than washi tape, so it's less likely to tear your paper, but it is more absorptive. So if you saturate this with water or alcohol ink, it's going to just soak right through. There we go. This is going to give us a clean outline when we're finished markering. And I'm standing up so I can better see what I'm doing. Oh my goodness, having my hair down makes it itch my nose. I'm so sorry. I know it's gross. It's so itchy. All right, so I am going to start with the corona, the halo around the candle. So to begin, I am going to start with PB23. So that would be Prismacolor in cream. And congrats on the new markers, Kelly. Let me remove the hair elastic. So I'm going to start with my lighter color. I'm going to leave kind of a halo, feathering it in like this around the flame. So on Monday, this Monday, we're going to be doing a gingerbread kit sometime in the afternoon as a live stream for those of you who enjoy just hanging out with me and doing live streams with me. And I bought 2 kits because if the cookie part of the gingerbread kit is ruined, you are pretty much out of luck, right? So I got a gingerbread kit from Five Below because I wanted to review that. And I also got a gingerbread kit from Walmart just in case my cookie crumbled. So we're talking about starting it at 4. I went ahead and grabbed a colorless blender. But we may end up starting it early because my younger brother wants to join us, and he is a firefighter and he has a fireman's meeting on Monday. So you guys can keep an eye on the community tab for updates about that. So now I'm doing another layer with our same really light buttery yellow. And let me know if the music's too loud. I have all the music credits for the holiday music we're enjoying today listed in the description below. You know, it's important to give credit where credit is due. And that means when you take an idea from someone else or you use someone else's art or their assets, it's important to credit them. Okay, so that is our PB23. So next I'm going to do PB131. And if anyone watching happens to be a resident of St. Charles Parish, Louisiana, I do Zoom Art Squad classes / meetups every other Thursday with the St. Charles Parish Library for younger artists. Okay, so now I'm going back with our PB23 and I'm gonna blend those together. That is the base halo. Why the yellow tape? The yellow tape is just to kind of create a clean border around the art. So when I'm done with the markers, we have this like nice clean edge around it, kind of like a frame. You've been learning how to draw logos all the days. Hey Milani, how are you? Oh, nice. I'm gonna put these aside for now. So now I'm gonna start doing the alternating colors going around the halo of the candle. So I'm using PB19 and PB originally I selected PB18, but I actually think PB17 would be a better, cleaner color for this. So give me a second. And I've had these streams go on for so long, the past few nights, that I am determined to finish this one in under 2 hours. Cannot do another 3-hour stream. I'll scream. All right, so I'm gonna start by alternating. So half of these are going to be yellow and half of these are gonna be orange. I'll go ahead and grab the oranges that I wanted to use for that. So I'll start with the yellow. using the brush to kind of saturate the paper. It's good to see you guys though. This has been a hard past week. My mom's sister who lives with her, she's already disabled, and she had just had rotator cuff surgery like in November on her shoulder, and then she fell the other day on the carpet and dislocated the other arm. Fortunately, there's no breaks, but she's going to be in a rehab facility until the 21st. So it's been a lot of trips back and forth with that. Okay, so I just applied Canary Yellow, PB19. So next I'm going to do PB17. I'm starting at the edge and I'm kind of feathering it. And while I don't live there, we only live about 30 minutes away, so I've been trying to help out. Okay, so I feathered in PB17. So then I'm going to blend back out with our original yellow, which is Sunburst Yellow. Just kind of clean that up. So I'm going to do this all the way around the candle. Supposedly she only dislocated her arm. We're really fortunate that she didn't break anything again. Last year she fell down the stairs and broke her hip and her the arm that she'd recently had rotator cuff surgery on. Thing is, I come from a family of very clumsy people. I'm a very clumsy person myself. And we need to be careful to always hold on to the handrail when we're going upstairs and to really lift our feet up. And when I was much younger, my parents paid for ballet lessons hoping that I would become more graceful. And at the time, I thought, because I'm very not graceful, but at the time I thought they didn't do any good at all because I was terrible at ballet. But as I get older, I think the number one most important thing I learned from ballet was actually how to fall and catch myself. So actually their investment was quite worthwhile. But yeah, after the stream is done tonight, I'm gonna order some flowers and send them to her because we're not allowed to visit since COVID is going on. And fortunately, she'll be out for Christmas. I do feel for all the people, though, who are going to be in the hospital for whatever reason over Christmas, though. So normally I'd be twisting and turning this thing all over the place, actually. I think I might do just that. And that's going to let me get a better angle, like a better coloring angle on it. You know, my balance is, a lot of my balance problems is probably from Meniere's disease and not necessarily having good inner ear balance. I cannot say that's my aunt's problem because I inherited the Meniere's from my dad's side of the family. But it at least made me able to catch myself when I fall, so I'm pretty grateful for that. Pretty grateful for that. I hope you guys have all been having a better week than that. Hasn't been the worst week, but we were all very worried for her on Saturday when she fell. Joseph and I spent the whole day in the parking lot of the hospital because they weren't allowing any visitors, which is understandable. But she was also having strange heart palpitations. And having lost my dad a few years ago to cancer, I've kind of learned that when you just don't take stuff for granted, you know? If you can be there, if you can be around, it's important because you never know when you might have to say goodbye. That's also why I have a policy of I don't leave the house. If Joseph and I have been fighting, I don't like to leave mad because you never know when it might be your last time. I think I might even go and do some more orange on this. So here is the tricky part because I got to work around all the greenery and work around the candle and stuff. But in good news, we wrapped up the 2020 gift guide yesterday. Joseph helped me, which I'm very grateful for. Not only did he help me with some of the camera work, because it really is so much easier when you have another set of eyes watching the camera screen to make sure you're not, you know, like out of shot or out of focus or anything like that. But he also, I'm trying to think if I want to put in another divide here, or if I just want to do it straight down, because it actually works out pretty well right now. Anyway, he also edited the video, and he really went above and beyond. The gift guide looks really good, and that's going to go live Monday morning. So hopefully it's in time for people who are still ordering their presents. One of the bummers about doing alcohol marker streams is that markers go by so fast that I don't necessarily have a lot of time to keep up with the chat. Prismacolors have a tendency to sing a little bit. You guys hear it squeaking? That's right. Happy birthday, Kelly. I hope you were able to have a really nice birthday. Turning 11, that's a big deal. That's a big milestone. The true problem with alcohol markers is I start to ASMR myself. What'd you do for your birthday? Okay, so I've got half of our rays colored, and you can kind of see the transition in color from yellow to yellow-orange. Gonna go back around with the orange, so PB17, and just do a little bit more here on the outer edge of the rays. I feel like I've seen this image before. I think I'm taking heavy inspiration from some like religious art my grandparents had around the house when I was a kid. All right, so that wraps up half of the candle rays. Man, I need a command center that like has better cable organization because I'm rolling all over all my cords. That candle's going Super Saiyan. Yeah, that would make for some good DBZ fan art. Okay, so now for the alternating rays, the ones that are currently white, I am gonna start with yellow orange, so PB 15. I'm kind of leaving a halo around the greenery. And that's just going to make it, hopefully, easier to color later on. So then I'm going to do another layer. So I'm basically treating it like I treated the yellow rays. So you can see, I don't have to be careful about coloring the borders because I have this paper tape down. But when I remove this paper tape, hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be a nice clean edge. So now I'm going in with a darker orange, so that's PB 14. Nice relaxing way to spend an evening. Other than the marker being a squeaky little mouse. And boy, I still have a lot of work to do tonight. So, yes, well, day before yesterday, I went over to my mom's house to help her clean up my aunt's room. And it was, you basically couldn't walk in there, and it was also super dusty. So I ended up with a migraine all day yesterday, and I ended up doing the gift guide for most of yesterday, and then Joseph was over here editing when we finished recording. So I wasn't able to get some of the artwork I needed or some of the scheduling work I needed to get done. So I'm playing a little bit of catch up. My aunt doesn't have a diagnosis, but I would put money, I mean, there's some medical stuff going on for sure, but I would also put money that she's also ADHD. Like me. And there's nothing wrong with that. In some ways, I've taken a lot of inspiration from her because when I was a kid, she was very crafty and did like embroidery and would do beadwork and would do cut paper things, and like, because she didn't have any children, so she had time for that, and she could also just leave it out, which makes a big difference. And I always thought all those things were so cool. I mean, my mom did crochet, but she wasn't really able to have a lot of hobbies because she had 2 children with ADHD who needed a lot of attention. But I do hope when Joseph and I have kids, we'll find a way to still continue to make things, hopefully with our kids. That seems really cool. I went over the line just a smidgen. I may also re-ink this after I finish just to add a little additional contrast. Okay, so that was 2 layers of PB15. Now I'm going to do a layer of PB14. This would be such a good color selection for like a fire, like in the fireplace. It's got nice cozy vibes. I'm going to blend that out with our earlier color, PB15. And that's going to give us kind of a softer blend. Then I'm going to use PB6, our dark red. Well, it's more like a red-orange, but compared to the other colors I've used so far, it's a dark red. And you know, I thought about doing a red candle, and I was like, that is a little too gothic for this illustration, because there's already a lot of like yellow and orange going on. A dark red would be like a lot. It's also got nice like sunrise vibes going on. Ooh, so you already put your good word in as Santa this year. Oh, you ought to say something nice about me too. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to visit Santa this year. Ooh, free tickets to ride a horse. That sounds like fun. Oh, what kind of teddy bear did you end up making? Sounds like you had a really busy birthday. Curiosities, what's working better for you guys? The Saturday later streams or the Friday earlier streams? For me, the earlier is a little bit better because it's seeping under. Oh no! The earlier is a little bit better because honestly, streaming at 8 o'clock at night after I've been working all day, my brain is just not really digging it, not really able to do both very well. But streaming earlier means I still have energy to be chatty. Second layer with our PB15. You know, eventually AR is going to get good enough that I just need to put in the color numbers that I'm using, and AR will like have a little pop-up, say what color I'm using at what time. Oh, that'd be cool. I mean, one could do that in post, but that takes a lot of effort. A lot of respect for people who, when they edit their videos, they really go the whole 9 yards. I have a lot of respect for anybody who edits their own video, because even if you're just doing it on your phone, that's still time, effort, and energy. But if you're doing it on a computer and you're really adding in like special effects and looking for sound effects and music and stuff, like that is extra effort. So much extra effort. I know a lot of people hire people to edit for them, and I know that helps, but I also know a lot of people can't really afford that or justify it, so they have to do the editing on their own. So I have a lot of respect for all the folks who are editing their own videos and really trying to make them special. As Miss ADHD, I only have so much energy. So if I were to put all the energy into editing, I wouldn't have any of the energy anymore for the art. I mean, that's me personally. That's not me talking about anybody else. I'm just saying, for me, I wouldn't be able to do both. So I have a lot of respect for the people who do manage to do both, because that's a challenge. It definitely looks very super. It's like Cathedral Super Saiyan. Speaking of, for any DBZ fans, they've got Dragon Ball Z shirts out Walmart, at least in the men's department. I was kind of bummed, because like, you don't have anything cool like that for women in women's shirts. And yeah, I could wear a guy shirt, but it'll fit me like a box. Those Animal Crossing shirts sold fast.
Were those women's fit?
What?
Animal Crossing shirts.
They were in the women's department. I went to Walmart in Metairie, and they had one left. It was very much not my size, and it was in the women's department. So I assume it was women's fit. I looked for a little, like I was on the hunt for a Christmas tree, so I couldn't look for long, but I looked for a little while and I couldn't find anything closer to my size. However, Hot Topic did a collab with Studio Ghibli and Her Universe, and the Studio Ghibli shirts are on sale. So if you like Howl's Moving Castle, or My Neighbor Totoro, or Ponyo, or Mononoke, or Kiki's Delivery Service, you can get you some shirts, and they have some cute dresses and some jewelry and backpacks and sweaters and jackets. So they've got a lot of stuff. Okay, I'm kind of digging how that looks. There's some areas that would benefit from being cleaned up or re-inked. Oh, hey Bidoof, it's been a while. But it actually looks like it's glowing, so I'm excited about that. All right, so next I'm going to do the candle's flame. And I think I decided when I was swatching these that I was going to use some of the colors from this selection. So let's see, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna use? Let's select us PB19 and PB15, and then the darker red, I think. And I'll use this as a blender color. Okay, so I'm starting with PB19. PB15. So an orangish color. Now blend that out with our PB17. And then our PB6. Blend that out with our PB15. I'll set those aside for right now. Next, I'm going to color the body of the candle. Where? There we go. So for the body of the candle, I'm using PB24. PB78. I was looking at it and like, I don't know if I believe that. And then E34. And I'll reserve this one as I may need a transition color. It is like tan, but it's going to be a white candle. So I'm going to start with our PB23, our cream color. I'm going to apply that where the light would be hitting. And I'm also leaving a little bit of white around the rim. And then I'll start in with our PB24. So things that are white are not, when you start putting shadow on them, they don't stay just white. They either go like brownish white, like a creamy color, or a tan color, or they go bluish white, or they go grayish white, or even sometimes reddish white. But they're not just like the white of the paper. So what I want to do is I want to think, now that I have like the base color down, which was PB24, I want to think about where the light isn't going to reach on this candle. So definitely where the wax dripped. Also maybe like the center core of the candle, maybe the light didn't quite reach it. Can add in some drips. Intensify the shadows a little bit. And then I'll blend that out using our PB24. So the lighter color we use is kind of a base. And I'm not trying to blend it all out all the way. I'm just trying to soften it a little bit. Joseph, what was the best birthday you've ever had?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna let this dry, which I know that sounds funny with alcohol markers, but with alcohol markers, they are like watercolors in that they do need to dry, or they will dry. They just dry quicker because they are alcohol ink rather than watercolor. Hey Tanner, good evening. It's been a heck of a week. Not a super great week. So while I wait for this to dry, I'm going to start working on the gold balls. And for those, I said I wanted PB23. Where is PB23? Oh, okay. All right. So this, Becca, PB131. All right, check. PB18, which I put away, so I'll grab it. It works better for this than the raise. Anyways, PB18, so I grabbed that. And then E08. Which is down here. Alright, so I'm going to start with PB23 for the gold balls down here. You don't have to do them gold. You could do them whatever color you want. Red would look really good too. Green might look good. Blue, silver. Could be a good chance to add in some contrast in an illustration that's skewing very warm. And I'm leaving some white highlight. I'm going to use my colorless blender and push some of that color back. Really saturate it. And then go in with my 131. Joseph, what have you been working on Kara-wise?
Review things.
Review things?
Some ad stuff.
Some ad stuff? How are we doing with the printing?
Everything's out of my hands now. Everything is ordered.
Everything's ordered, so what does that mean?
That means Volume 2 is supposed to be shipped on the 14th.
On the 14th? To go where?
ShipBob, the shipping warehouse,
Ooh.
which I've also been working with them to make sure everything is in place for when the books get there.
Cool. So theoretically, people who back the Kickstarter should have their books for Christmas, theoretically.
Volume 2.
Volume 2, yeah. Because we reordered Volume 1, and then we decided to make a big old perfect bound volume of Lilliputian Living.
I also made a new digital edition of Lilliputian Living recently.
You really have been busy. Okay, so for the gold balls, we started with PB23. Then we went in with PB131, and I'm still leaving the highlight. And then we went in with PB18, and that was all while it was still wet. So I'm going to give those a chance to dry. Applying marker onto marker while it's still wet gives you a really soft blend. That's why we actually let the candle dry. So when I start doing shadows with PB78 again, we're going to get like a second darker layer of color. So this is a good way if you have kind of a smaller marker collection to kind of really utilize what you have. whoa, 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 whoa. What happened? Oh no, why did you need surgery? I missed that. I'm sorry, Tanner. What happened? Whoa, that's terrible timing, but I'm so glad you're back at home now. So you see, even though this is kind of a tannish color, it's not really tan. Especially not since we're using it to kind of create shadow on our white candle. I'd add a little bit more. All right, I'll let that dry, and then I'll add E38. The gold balls are almost dry, so I'm going to go in with E08. Alright, that's coming along pretty nicely. You tannish, but not tan. Yes, you're very pale for someone named Tanner. Okay, so what I can do is I can go back in with our yellow ochre on this background gold ball and just add in a little bit more shadow. That's going to create some more depth. It's also going to blend that brownish color out a little bit. All right, so next I'm going to work on the pine cones. And for the pine cones, I'm using PB90, PB213, and PB214. It's not a good idea to go out anyways. You're recovering. Okay, so I think I must have. Okay, so I'm starting with PB90. Sometimes when I'm like really engrossed in whatever art I'm making, it's a little harder for me to keep up with the chat, and I do miss things. Like, I mean, shoot, I missed the fact that Tanner had surgery. I'm just using these kind of scallop motions. I want to call them like the petals on a pine cone, but I don't know if that's like the official name. Pine cone petals. Then while that's still wet, go ahead and do a second layer of the same, but not all over it, mostly focusing down kind of at the bottom of the pine cone. You can see how we're actually getting a darker tone of color, as well as on the front of the pine cone, since that would be further away from the light source. Kind of look like hedgehogs. A hedgehog Christmas illustration would be pretty cute to do. So while the pine cones are drying, I'm going to use E34 on our candles. And I'm just kind of delicately putting in some of the darker shadows. Blend that out a little bit. I wanted to add a little bit more of a core shadow. Oh, I should have told you that. I'm sorry. Tanner's been working from home for a little while now. All right, I think the pine cones are dry, so I'm going to go in with PB 213 next. And at first, I'm just kind of coloring in like the bottom half of the scallop, if that makes sense. The part of the pine cone petal, I guess, that sticks out. And then I'm going back in and kind of filling in the shadowy area. So we're getting some contrast here. Hey, are we going out for beignets after?
Probably not.
What? I thought we were going to get beignets after the stream.
I guess we could.
Yeah. Beignets. Do you guys know what beignets are? I never really know how familiar people from outside of Louisiana are. Like, was there anywhere in Nashville that did beignets? Joseph?
Not that I know of.
No, I don't know. I don't think of any either, but you went to a few more places than I did, and you worked outside the home, so you might have heard people talking about it, but I don't think so. So beignets are like pillow donuts. Like, if you guys know what sopapillas are, beignets are the French version of that with powdered sugar instead of honey. Yeah, so good. And there is not really a beignet place, but they make pretty dang good beignets, like a block from our house. I'm gonna miss that when we get like our home. I will miss the convenience of a beignet place. So good. Fried pillows of dough covered in delicious sugar. Would also be good with jam or fresh fruit. Probably be really good with fresh fruit. Oh, I'm making myself hungry now. Of course, as you're working, it's important to remember to stop and stretch and flex your hand. Okay. All the poppins. And then on the gold balls, I'm going to go back in with our E08. Add a little more brown. And I'm going to wait. Well, they're about dry. I could go in with another layer of PB 213 because once you let it dry, you can get that second layer of color. You know, the more I mess around with alcohol markers, the more I'm like, I really miss using alcohol markers. I've been doing so much watercolor for so long, but I do really enjoy alcohol markers. It's like a slight difference, but not super noticeable, so I'm just gonna I'll just let that be and get caught up. Good luck on your exams, Tolly. I don't know what kind of printing you're interested in doing, but I have two minors. I have a minor in printmaking and a minor in earth environmental science. So if you have any printing questions, I might be able to help you out. I used to do a lot of linoleum, woodblock, intaglio, and screen printing. What am I doing this weekend? I don't know, probably work. Okay, so next I'm going in with PB214, and I'm going to use that to do my darkest shadows. Well, I say that, but I've been kind of thinking about going with indigo on the pine cones because I knew this might not be as dark as I wanted. All about that contrast, baby. Oh, 7:02. I'm making really good time today, see? That's the wonder of not necessarily doing watercolor. I love painting with it, but I hate the dry times. I'm sorry, I'm excited about beignets. It might, well, no, I'm actually having a lot of fun with this. It's just, I'm like, oh, like now that I got you to agree to beignets, I'm excited about beignets. Because I'm a big old dork. I may also be singing some Pure Moods, but replacing the lyrics with the word beignet just over and over again. Okay, so our pine cones have been colored. It's now time to color our greenery. So I am going to use G24, G94, BG96, and, oh, I'm sorry, it's PB31, my mistake, and PB45. So basically I'm working from like a light yellow green to a dark blue. And that's going to help, hopefully, theoretically, give the impressions of shadows. But before I do that, I want to go in and kind of draw some of the stems. If someone made an album like Pure Moods, but with food, that would be like my all the time soundtrack. Although, okay, so I was driving to get coffee this afternoon so I could be nice and hyper for y'all. And we have the Breath of the Wild soundtrack in the car. And I was listening to it. I almost started to cry because I was like, I really love this game. This is one of my favorite games. I love the way it makes me feel. I love the environments. And I don't know, this is super dorky, but it also made me feel like I was like at home. Like one of the big open world songs just made me be like, oh yeah, that's Louisiana. I mean, Louisiana sucks a lot sometimes, but there's also some really amazing things about Louisiana. And I really hope I can make comics that help people see what I love about Louisiana. Okay, so I used a dark brown PB 13 to kind of sketch in some of the stems. So next I'm going to use G24. I'm just going to start drawing in the pine needles. And I'm just using kind of short motions. It's a lot like drawing feathers or coloring in feathers. And I'm just gonna be patient with it. Hey, it's funny because I never really felt like I super fit in here, like in Louisiana. I always felt like people thought I was kind of weird or maybe too hippy dippy or too soft, I guess, but also too brash for a woman. It's like, it's really hard to explain, but I spent so much time outside as a girl for a variety of reasons. So like Louisiana to me is more about outside than it is about the people. I do think, like, don't get me wrong, I do think there's some wonderful people here. I teach and I've gotten to meet some really, I'm like really excited about the future of Louisiana because a lot of those kids have really good hearts. And I can only credit their parents for that probably because like when we were growing up I knew a lot of kids who you would think were borderline sociopaths with how much they talked about shooting animals. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to move back, is I wanted to help be part of the change and make this a better place for a variety of people, not just like the people who just always have fit in and done well here. There's a term, good old boys, that's thrown around a lot. It can be intended complimentary or it can be intended as like kind of an insult, and it's hard to explain to people who didn't grow up with it, but it's basically like the same old, like the same terrible laws, the same nepotism, the same bias that we've had for the past 50 years, you know, the good old boys club, they're the only ones who ever benefit from it. And I don't know, I'm ready to see some change. There's also something that when I met Joseph way back in college here and at the University of New Orleans, I liked about him, and I still like about him. He's not like that, and he's not like a lot of the people you'll meet around here. He was weird and different too, even though I'm sure he's like, I'm not weird. Are you weird?
Not so much.
Not to see what I mean. He's super weird in a good way. You were super weird though. I am too. Like I always thought weird was a good thing. Weird is interesting. Beignet, like deliciousness. All right, so that was the G24 layer. I'm gonna give it, actually I think I worked slow enough that it had a chance to dry. So next I'm gonna go in with G94. So what I wanna do is I wanna leave some of the needles more highlighted. And you guys will hopefully see what I'm talking about as I go. Super weird Joseph. just being patient and coloring as I go. Okay, Joseph, have you ever stolen somebody's lawnmower?
Of course not. What do you mean?
Are you kidding? You say of course not, but there were people on my street growing up, both streets, who stole, like they had families that had money and they still stole people's stuff for funsies so they could buy drugs and stuff. And that's not an uncommon thing. Like if you read the Herald guide and you read the news reports, you at least once a week there's somebody who got arrested for stealing lawn equipment. Did you ever set fire to a neighbor's lawn during football season because their kid played for the rival team? Or did you ever drive to another town?
Of course not.
You didn't? I didn't, don't worry. No. But that was like a big problem at the school I went to. People would do stuff like, and they'd steal stop signs and stuff.
Well, I told you people in this area have been firing guns.
That's what I know. That's what made me think about it. Is like in the newspaper, the sheriff, who was the sheriff when I was a kid, was complaining about people taking high school football rivalries too far. The thing is, like, they've turned a blind eye to that for like at least 20 years. So you know what? If you want it to change, you're gonna have to start cracking down on it. To me, going around shooting guns in a neighborhood is wholly inappropriate regardless. And maybe if they had to do some like community service, they might think otherwise. Not that I think community service is a bad thing, but you know, if they like had to think about someone, not themselves, for 10 minutes, they might think otherwise. All right, so that is our G94 layer. No, when I said weird, I just meant you have like a very different personality and a different set of standards than a lot of people. That doesn't have to be bad. It just means you're different. But I like that. It's like one of the things I liked about you from the get-go. Believe me, I would not have married you if you were just like all the other dudes around here.
How do you know I'm not going to buy a giant truck for my vehicle?
You know, if you really want a giant truck, you can get a giant truck. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with having a giant truck. Now, if you're going to like drive super aggressively and try to drive other people off the road because you own the road with your giant truck, that's different. But like,
yell at everybody on a bicycle.
yeah.
That person was actually in a car, but I've been yelled at by people in the truck.
Yeah.
You want some water?
Yes, please. I would greatly appreciate some water. Yeah, that's something that makes us weird. We bike in this neighborhood. That's so stupid. Okay, so there is, like I told you guys, there's a beignet place about a couple blocks down. It's easy to walk to, easy to bike to. There's a grocery store that's like a block away in the opposite direction. Easy to walk to, easy to bike to. All right, so like there's so much stuff around here. There's a school that's super easy to bike to. There's a church that's really easy. There's multiple churches, actually, that's easy to bike to. There's a funeral home if you want to bike to the funeral home. Anyway, like you could live in this neighborhood and bike or walk for a lot of your needs, okay? And yet, people will try to drive Joseph off the road when he's biking to go to the grocery store, or they'll honk at him, or they'll yell at him. Like, what's the point of having all of these conveniences nearby that you could conveniently bike or walk to? And then, you know, I understand, like, people with different mobility needs, like, needing to drive. Like, I'm not discouraging people from driving if they need to drive. But, like, Don't yell at somebody who's choosing to bike. Thank you. Wait, did the kid actually... I'm totally sober, y'all. I mean, the thing is with live streams, like, you got to talk about something. And I also think Louisiana in general is kind of weird enough that it bears, like, just chit-chatting about, you know? And again, like, I love Louisiana. Don't get, like, this is not me cracking on the whole state. It's just me, like, talking. And the thing is, I grew up in this parish. Parishes are like counties here. I grew up in this parish about 20 minutes on the other side of the river. So, like, I basically grew up here, just in another part of the area. And it's still super weird to me. And, like, we were picking up cheap Chinese food, and I saw somebody I went to high school with, and it was... I don't think she recognized me, but I recognized her. And then my mom's like, did you say hi? And because I used to eat at their lunch table, but she was one of the ones who let me know on a daily basis that I wasn't goth enough for them. So I was like, no, I didn't say hi.
You should have just started playing Avril Lavigne or whatever.
No, man, baby metal all the way. 100%.
Baby metal wasn't even out.
No, I wish it was, though. I really do wish it was. I could have pointed to that and been like, that's what I want to do. I want to be scary and also very cute. So I've also extended some of the branches out into the already colored area just to kind of break up the forms a little bit and have it look a little less static. Can also do that with white gouache later if you want to. Yeah, I mean, like, it happens a lot around here, so it's basically just chit chat. Like, my mom had her lawnmower stolen out of her. It was basically in her garage, but she hadn't shut the garage yet because she was going to go wash the lawnmower off, and someone came and stole it out of her garage. And this was like right after she and Dad got divorced, so she had no money to replace a lawnmower. And you know it was just some bored teenager in that neighborhood who just doesn't care, doesn't think about other people. Not saying like all teenagers are like that. I'm just talking about that neighborhood. I was a teenager at the time it happened, so. Okay, so I feel like I want to add a lot more definition. So I'm going to go in with our darker green, and I'm just going to start really adding in heavier brush strokes here and there to start creating some depth, because everything right now is kind of like the same value. There's no shadow in this greenery yet. So then I'm going to go in with PB 45. This is our kind of indigo blue. It might literally navy blue. So it's a cool blue. I'm going to use it to draw in more of the shadows on the greenery. And then I'll demonstrate one of my secret best techniques. Well, fortunately, now I don't have the Return to Innocence song stuck in my head anymore. I have Baby Metal. Nope, never mind. Now I got Sail Away stuck in my head. Oh, Pure Moods. How dare you? I mean, I put it on for you, and you got 2 songs in, and you were like, turn it off, please. Because I was trying to show you that the Twin Peaks theme song is indeed on Pure Moods. Which you didn't even know what Pure Moods was until I turned it on. Alright, time for my secret best ninja technique. Can you guess what it is?
Spritzing.
No, come here. This is my best technique. Come here. Tell me what it needs.
Oh, I mean...
It needs something, right? More shadow towards the bottom?
Probably, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. See... This is the best technique, getting a secondary set of eyes that's not personally attached.
Not too high, towards
the bottom.
Not
Oh
the
yeah.
bottom of the leaves, towards the bottom.
Yeah. You smart. To add in some weight and some shadow, especially because some of these would be blocked by the light.
Yeah, I mean, also it's a really epic cast of light. So
The Jesus halo.
Yeah.
You know, years of art history. Thank you. That's the best secret technique, is getting another set of eyes.
You know, you can see it on my screen.
I know, but it looks different. Like the color balance isn't as good on the screen because the camera is a webcam. It's not like a professional art camera. I don't know. I asked you earlier today if we could get beignets, and you said when, and I said after the stream, and you said yeah.
Okay.
So
I don't remember saying after the stream.
I said after the stream, and you said okay. Because I wanted to go out to eat, and you were like, where? And I was like, beignets? Or if you feel like going to Cafe du Monde, but I seriously doubt you feel like going to Cafe du Monde. I like the other one. Well, I don't know about just as good, but they're pretty good. How long have you been off? Dual recorder, how long have you not been recording? Oh, because it says it's only got a minute left. Okay. All right, give me a sec, y'all. We're almost done, so.
A 1 terabyte card in your phone?
It is, but it saves directly to my, whatever. I'll explain in a second. Not enough space in your internal storage. I tried to move it. Sorry, y'all. I have my phone taped on top of my webcam. I am very cool and much an adult. Such adult. So what y'all doing this evening?
I take it you weren't interested in the Primus live stream.
When is it?
Actually, I think it's tonight. It's in like 30 minutes. So probably not.
Why you do this to me? He laughs. You hear him? Tell Devin. Devin's my younger brother. If he's not working, does it cost money?
Yeah, $20.
Oh, well, he ain't gonna do that. He didn't have any money.
Sure. Yeah, we're gonna see them in 6 months anyway.
Well, I mean, I thought if it was like just streaming, then yeah, tell Devin, but he didn't have any money to be paying for a live stream. Give me a break.
We can only watch your arm move around for so long.
I know. I'm working on it. Oh yeah, that's stupid. I just remembered something about this phone. Is a trash folder.
Isn't that where all your art is?
How many years did it take me to stop referring to myself and my art as trash after I had a really bad depressive episode?
Obviously a joke.
I know, but it started as a joke with me too, remember? Give me a break, phone. I just cleared a bunch of junk. Bunch of stuff. But on that note, I do mean that sincerely. Like, don't refer to your work as trash. Don't refer to your art as trash. Because even if you're doing it as a joke, it does start, your brain starts thinking you're serious. And then you start to really feel that way. And that becomes a really difficult thing to overcome. I'm not like saying that to make you feel bad, Joseph. It's just,
I think once in every 6 months isn't going to affect how I think.
it's just it's such an important thing. And like a lot of artists will do it, and we do it because our friends are doing it, and because it's like, you know, it starts to become like expected that you'll feel that, like you'll call your art trash, and if you don't, then like you must have an ego or something. And I just want to make it clear, like, I think it's good and important to like your own art, especially if you're able to. Not everyone is able to. And it's like oh, you can also like know that your art needs improvement and still like it. And that's really important because that's what's going to keep you making art for a long time. Otherwise, you're going to get burnt out. I mean, you might get burnt out anyway. Ha! Finally! Wait, I have an album I can move this to in already. Yeah. Sorry about that. It's coming along though. Actually, while I'm waiting, I'll grab a color I know I'm probably going to need, which is, this is a custom color, kind of, sort of. It's pitch black, which is like a dark brown black color, and it's made by Ranger. So this is a custom filled Copic sketch with that alcohol ink in it. You're not trash and your work's not trash. You still have growing to do. I'm tapped out of the Disney song. I don't have any more to offer to you. There we go. All right. What's terrible is I forgot what I was doing. Okay, I'm going to go back in with PB31. Just add a little bit more green and blend some of that blue out. another note, the false modesty, like my work is trash and I'll never be as good as you, senpai, is not as flattering as I think some people think it is, because what it really does is it puts pressure on the other artists to then compliment and build you up when they did not ask for that. That's like a lot of work. That's a heavy burden. And I mean, you know, a lot of us don't mind building people up on occasion, but like when someone's just like, I'm trash, you feel, huh? I'm just talking about it. I see it a lot, and I wish it didn't exist.
I feel like there's a difference in someone who does it all the time.
I'm not talking about you. I was just thinking about it. Okay, I'm going to go back in with the PB45. You want to know the truth? I was actually thinking about the person who said they'd like my art a lot more if I didn't ever refer to it as beautiful.
Sure.
And the reason I called it that is because I've had friends who were kind enough to call it that, and I do enjoy my own art. Otherwise, I wouldn't draw. And I just think it's like a really unhealthy attitude to not like your own work. And I think it's a really unhealthy attitude to go around telling other artists not to like their own work. That's what I was actually thinking about. Okay. Whether or not that's better, I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it. So for the candle wick, so usually with candle wicks, they are white. I'm going to do it dark brown and black. Actually, I'm going to do it, I'm looking for like a nice peachy color, so I'm going to use E00. We'll start with that. Then we'll do brown. It's just a bad art attitude that probably came from, I don't know, like you see these weird hot takes on YouTube and on DeviantArt and stuff. Okay, so then I use PB214, and then I'm going to go in with our Adirondack pitch black just at the top, like it got burnt, and then a little bit right there in the center. And then I'll use my dark red and kind of blend that a little bit. And I'm going to use the same color, which you could just use black for this, just to add some shadow in the base of the pine cone. You can tell I'm old and I have taught for too long, because whenever somebody says something like that, I want to like corner them and be like, where did you learn that? Give them the good old teacher talking to. Where is that attitude coming from? Who hurt you? That was like when I was a teenager though, and like other girls would say you can't think you're pretty because then you're vain. Like you can't think of yourself as attractive. And some of them would go so far as to be like, you can't even like yourself. Like, woof. The self-loathing runs deep. That was a whole different generation though, because a lot of energy goes into teaching kiddos that it's okay to love themselves. Was that something that boys did around here too? Like you weren't allowed to like yourself? Or is it just girls?
Just girls.
Man, it really messed with my head for a couple of decades. I really hated myself for a long time. Alright, so I think other than using some white gouache to put in some highlights, I think I'm about done with this, she says as she grabs a marker and continues to make marks on the paper. Yeah, I think I'm about done with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my markers. Also, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I didn't bring that up like fishing for compliments, but I like it. I wouldn't put the time into it if I didn't like my own work, you know? You spend a lot of time just staring at the paper. Hopefully you like what you're making. All right. I'm gonna go grab a cup of clean water and a synthetic brush, and I'll be right back. One more thing though about the like saying your art is trash. Like if I said my art was trash, that would make everybody who enjoys my art and looks up to what I'm doing feel like their work is trash, and that's the last thing I want to do. And that's a very prevalent thing where like senpai, the person they look up to, doesn't like their own art. So like they're like, well, my stuff must be trash because if the person I admire thinks their work is trash, I'm not as good as they are. So it's like a horrible vicious cycle that I don't want to feed into. I am about to use this white gouache in the way you're not supposed to use it, in that I'm just dipping it right in to the container.
Gouache police gonna come for you?
Quite possibly. You never know. That would be exciting. What do you think the gouache police look like?
Guy Fieri.
He's here to take me to Flavortown? Okay, gouache please, take me away. So you guys can choose to add your white gouache highlights or white gel pen highlights or any white whatever you want to add to this or not. You might be like, nope, I like it as is. I'm done. I've had enough. That's fine too. But you can add it however you wish. And just kind of, I don't know. I don't ever know if I'm like making it better or making it worse. I'm making it something, that's for sure though. I'm still learning too. That's something I really like about almost any, not almost any, but there's a lot of professions where there's always something new you can learn. Keeps it exciting. And when it comes to art, I don't ever, hang on. Okay. I think the only too late to learn is after you're dead. So I think you can decide you want to learn art or new art at any stage in life.
Or after the trade has died off.
I mean, if you still enjoy it. Like, there's people in Japan who are practicing stuff that's, like, technically died off, but they're paid by the government to, like, continue the craft as, like, a heritage thing. And then sometimes things...
Assuming there's still records of things.
Yeah, well, the U.S. does it to an extent. Dang it. I pulled that line wrong. To an extent. There used to be, I don't know, with COVID, I just don't know anything. There used to be museums that would literally give people a fellowship for certain crafts. because they're like the only people who know how to do that craft, basically. Honestly, with some of these videos, I'm like learning too, and that's why I make them to like share something I've recently learned, because the best way to like retain information is to teach it to somebody else. What do I actually, this reminds me a lot of like the religious art my grandmother would have in her house when I was a kid. And I like the iconography, and I would like to utilize it in some secular art as well, because it's, oh gosh, you remember in Mad Men where Peggy did the design? I was gonna say, you remember Mad Men where Peggy did the popsicle ad, and it's basically based off of the Madonna, and she's handing popsicles, and like they explain that the reason it resonates is because like people are already familiar with this iconography and it has meaning to them already, so you're basically kind of cashing in on like an existing language. I know that, but I'm saying like it would just be neat to find a way to integrate it and its uses in 7-inch Kara, because that's a secular comic. Like Lilliputians don't have a religion, but it is a type of visual storytelling, and it's a very powerful type of visual storytelling. Are you kidding? I love stained glass windows. If I ever go back for a doctorate in art, I want to do my studies on how stained glass windows are basically proto-comics. Whatever. I think like using religious iconography and shorthand to do secular art is really neat. And I've always avoided it because, or I, for the most part, have avoided it because I grew up in a really, really, really religious household, and I have family members who would like narc on me to my mom about anything they don't like. And I think she's at the point where she doesn't care, because one of my aunts narked that I draw a lot of witches, and my mom was just like, and? It also doesn't mean I don't have my own beliefs. It just makes me very hesitant to share them with other people. You asked. Alright. Almost finished. Hi, Doodles. Welcome. Oh man, Gracie the dog is losing her mind outside, barking at nothing. Do you know what helped me stay focused today? On this piece?
Chloe?
No, on this piece?
No.
Beignets. I'm gonna eat some beignets in like half an hour. Gonna put them in my mouth and chew them. Alright, I think that about wraps it up. I think I'm about done. What would you name this piece, Joseph?
Starry Night.
Starry Night. Sure. All right, well, then I am just about finished with this watercolor illustration, Starry Night. I mean, if we're gonna confuse people, let's just get real weird with it. It was mostly alcohol marker with a little bit of white gouache at the end. Oh, wait. There's one last super important part of this illustration. It's the most important part. Some would argue the best part even. Okay, y'all ready?
You gonna tear it in half?
No. Aw. So some of it did bleed under. I mean, that's what happens when you use like a paper tape, is if you saturate it enough. But you see, you still get a cleaner edge than you would have without masking it. You can, of course, use masking tape, and that's going to do a better job, frankly, than the Post-it tape that I used. I like the Post-it tape, though, because it doesn't tear, it's not as likely to tear the paper. And I can always go back with the white gouache and clean up the edges, but that soft kind of diffused edge is not too bad either. All right, I think I am about done with this one. So I had a really good time hanging out with you guys this evening. We managed to finish in under 2 hours, which is like a world record for me. Next week, oh shoot, I was sort of thinking we might paint ornaments together. I don't know which camera these will show up on. So these are just clear plastic ornaments from Dollar Tree. You get them 2 for $1, so they're very cheap. I'm going to be using like apple barrel acrylic paint. I'm also going to use some spray matte to give them a texture, a surface for the paint to stick onto. You can fill them with things like glitter, or you could do marble pour painting on the inside, and I'd kind of like to try doing that during a chill stream. What I want to do for next week, though, is I want to either do acrylic painting or use Poscas on these. So if you guys want to paint along, I encourage you to go buy some clear plastic ornaments. You can get them at Michael's, you can get them at Dollar Tree, you can get them at Walmart. Michael's might be your best bet right now because Walmart and Dollar Tree have been cycling their Christmas stuff pretty quickly this year. So I've got, I want to say 6 of these. I'm going to at least do 2 or try to do 2 on stream. Obviously, it depends on the dry time. So aiming for next Friday, 6 p.m., but I'll let you guys know if there's a reason that changes, family emergency, what have you. Yeah, candlelight night is a good one too. On Monday, around 4-ish, we're going to do a gingerbread building chill stream. So we're going to build a gingerbread house. I'm looking forward to that. So if you want to come hang out, you can build a gingerbread house with me. I got 1 kit from Walmart and 1 kit from Five Below. If you want to build your own gingerbread house, I'm not baking mine. I am not a baker. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. It was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. I had fun markering this with y'all. And I'm just so happy that alcohol markers don't take nearly as long as watercolor. So hopefully I'll see you guys next Friday when we're gonna paint some ornament.